Yes, we have a little bit of a developing story here as the Electricity Company of Ghana, as we understand, has agreed to restore power to the Yilo and Krobo municipalities of the eastern region. JoyNews can now confirm that the agreement was brokered by the national security at a meeting attended by officials of the Electricity Company of Ghana, the paramount chiefs, as well as other stakeholders at the meeting today. The areas were plunged into darkness since Wednesday, July 27, because the Electricity Company of Ghana switched off the feeders supplying power to the communities in the two municipalities over illegal connections and disagreements over the payment of bills. But the process to restore power is likely to take some time, as sources close to the negotiations have told JoyNews that ECG has identified as many as 12 of its transformers that have broken down or have been destroyed by some known persons. A roadmap towards the restoration of power is expected to begin tomorrow, as we understand, Friday, 12 of August 2022, with the deployment of new transformers to replace the damaged ones. The company will also spend some time to assess the integrity of power lines in the area before possibly light to the two municipalities will be restored by weekend. Per the agreement, the Electricity Company of Ghana is expected to issue a statement later today detailing the roadmap towards providing electricity for the two municipalities after 2 weeks of darkness. But first of all, in the wake of the confrontations, the ECG boss has been justifying their decision to pull the plugs on the community. He was speaking days ago in an exclusive interview here on the JoyNews channel.
Why didn't you even go for the police?
I decided to.
Why soldiers?
The army officers you saw are from the engineers regiment. They are all electrical engineers. My staff needed to be safe. We had a conversation.
But they are soldiers.
Yes.
Yes. So
not two ways about that.
So why did you use
for the protection of my staff?
protection police? Are there law enforcers? So why the police? Why the soldiers?
I didn't have the requisite numbers to do the installation in record time.
Did you talk to the IGP without giving you numbers? I mean,
no,
what are you talking about?
Talking about protection only. My exercise wasn't about protection only. With the pictures you see the army officers installing meters. They are not just, they are on ladders, they are installing.
Again, why the soldiers? Why not the police?
Okay, as I said,
yes,
I needed the soldiers because I needed their electrical engineers. The army has an engineer regiment that has electrical engineers. I needed those guys. I picked them up. I took them to my training school. We stayed there for about 2 weeks with the blessing of the national security, and then we deployed out there to do the exercise. This exercise was going very, very well.
So the police don't have engineers? I don't know.
I can't speak to that, and I'll choose not to speak to that because I know what I decided to implement. But you know,
yes.
But
so,
you know,
so are you saying that the soldiers are the only engineers in town?
If you want the
because I have a problem. Yes, I have a problem. I'm listening.
We have not had the best of relationships in JoyNews or Yilo Krobo.
So
in executing our business.
So
my staff needed the support they could get.
From who?
From the national security. Because we are running a business where, as you spoke about, they are independent power producers that we owe money
Mr. Dubik Muhammad, did you talk to the police about, protecting you?
The police at a certain
the
point,
place?
The police were part of this program. I think when the police were involved, I was on the board.
Right.
That I do remember.
And they didn't help?
The lights went, they did help. I wouldn't say they did not help.
So
they did help.
Right. What were you expecting them to do that they didn't do?
The police did very well.
Okay.
This issue or this decision had nothing to do with the inability of the Ghana police. Not at all.
Okay. So why didn't you go for them?
It had everything to do with me concerning my request for numbers for the job. I had to redeploy people from across the country.
It's not sitting well with me. I'm sure it's not sitting with many Ghanaians. What numbers being now? What numbers are you talking about?
Exercise.
Right.
Installation exercise.
Okay.
You need people who are well versed in electricals to be able to do the exercise. What's the quickest way for me to add to my number of 100? I have about 100 technicians out there that I've pulled from around the world. Don't forget, I'm short-staffed. I have over 2.something million postpaid meters. My meter readers are just 800. I'm short-staffed. So if there's a place where I can redirect to put the requisite numbers and start raking in revenue, of course I will do it.
So the soldiers were the right option for you at the time?
They were the right option for me at that point in time. Because I needed to finish the exercise in record time. But look, now brings us to where we are today. that they are off. They go there, they are doing this stuff. This is how bad it is.
But I think you could have also asked the IGP, IG, do you have engineers that can help me? Because
See,
this is something.
before you see, I don't want us to go into the intricacies of governance.
Why not?
I am a utility company.
Yes.
I requested for a service. Wait.
And you have customers, and you need a relationship with your customers. So if I see a soldier coming at me to do what? To instill fear in me?
The soldier is not there to instill any fear in you. The soldier is there for my protection.
And the police can't protect you?
I started by saying we have not had the best of friendships in that area. I again reminded you, if you divide 168 million by 8, or the present prevailing rate, you see the dollar value of what I am losing in the area. Nobody, up until today, 2022, July has ended, August. When I'm preparing my budget and revenue, I cannot add them because history is not on my side. And I work for the state. The state cannot show that it's weak. We keep allowing certain things to go, oh,
no.
We are
collect your money.
So what?
But my only problem is the soldiers. That's my only problem.
Let me bring you to something that happened before they went off.
Okay.
There's a town that doesn't want prepaid meters. So because of that, they are cutting my fiber optic cable. They are disturbing my transmission lines. I disconnect them from the distribution transformer. We go to our base. We come back. The town has connected themselves to the network.
How did they do it?
You're asking me? I don't know. I'm sitting here. I don't know. Now, it didn't stop there. This thing happens about twice. Then I say, oh, you know what, guys? Rather, let's now disconnect this distribution transformer from the high tension. We disconnect from the high tension. Guess what?
I'm listening.
They connect back to the high tension. So upon one of those evenings that we were done with our patrols, we were driving through the area. We get there, we see that the thing has been connected back to the high tension. The soldiers and my technicians get out to check. A mob comes out. The mob starts pelting stones and hitting them. If the soldiers were not there to protect my people, what would have happened?
The police could have done it. I don't want us to dwell on this much. But
if they were provoked and a shot had fired, there was a shot or something, what would have then happened? ECG goes to Krobo, or ECG goes to Yilo Krobo, or ECG goes to Yilo Krobo too.
But now that the chiefs are calling for withdrawal of the military again.
Wait. Don't jump.
Let's talk to me.
After the attacks on my people don't feel safe to work there. Everybody beat a retreat. We left. We went back to the base. And that's how I say, with electricity, it's a loop. It's a grid. If somebody is tampering with it, you can't give the other person a stable power supply. And if we don't have access to the grid, how can we work? So we then decided to shut down the line because they kept on tripping the line that was leading to Somania. So we then decided to shut down the whole feeder because we need to shut it down, come and sit down, and let's have a conversation as to the way we are going to move forward. We cannot be operating the business and be seen to be giving some people some special treatment. That is not how this country
But the
built.
chiefs are also calling for a withdrawal for the military. Withdraw the military. So are you going to withdraw them and by their mandate?
The chiefs
they are not even law enforcement.
Are asking for us to forgive their debt. They are asking for the withdrawal of the soldiers. They don't want prepaid meter. They should tell us what they want. Because the thing is, we are at
they
a
don't
point
want
where
to pay anything. I mean, what if they say we are not paying anything?
If you don't want to pay anything, you have to start paying something from somewhere. If we as a country, because as I'm speaking to you, the money from this your show, your electricity that you spend here, will settle their debt. So you are paying for them. All of us have been paying for them since 2014. What's the honesty in that? How can we grow a country where a small set of people have decided that they are not going to pay? Imagine if the people of Ashanti also decide that we are not going to pay again. Then what happens to this country? We become lawless.
So are you going to withdraw them, the military?
I am not inclined to.
Right. So when are you having any discussions? When are you having
the conversations are going on, the conversations are still ongoing. My thing is this: if my staff don't feel safe, I cannot operate.
Well, the justification coming through there from the Electricity Company of Ghana, but JoyNews is now learning and can confirm that indeed power will be restored to the community in the coming days. Let's bring in Adib Sani, security analyst, watching all of the developments for us. Adib, here we are today, the National Security Council, at least bringing some level of finality to the matter. But what we're not certain about is about the continuous exercise of replacing the postpaid meters with a prepaid one. That would obviously happen. But should it go on with much more deployment of the security officers?
Well, I think a lot of the issue has got to do with trust. It appears that the community doesn't trust ECG also doesn't trust the community. However, based on the negotiations that has happened and based on the commitment that the two sides have reaffirmed, I think that it is safe for ECG to restore power. However, first things first, those installations that have been destroyed would have to be fixed. There has to also be goodwill from the community. And going forward, I think this would be a big lesson to corporate organizations like the ECG. There's absolutely no way you can work under very stressful conditions, under conditions in which the people don't trust you. There's no goodwill. People are belligerent towards your staff because in a corporate sense, there's the need for the community to buy into whatever you're doing. Like I said yesterday on the show, I did my service with ECG in the North, NETCO, and most of the information we received at that time with respect to people engaged in illegal connections and all that was from the communities. Okay, so if you don't have the buy-in, if you are not able to engender the trust and confidence of the community in which you operate, it becomes almost impossible for you to be able to operate effectively. So I think this should be a lesson to not just power companies, but even mining companies, to win the trust of the communities in which they operate.
The fear is that given the breakdown of talks between the ECG and leading figures or influential figures within the community, this will be the time for the national security to bring in a different approach towards the expansion of the prepaid metering exercise in the community. What would you suggest?
Well, obviously, the right things must be done. I mean, irrespective of anybody's sentiments, the right things would have to be done. Mostly, the other metering type is not always the way to go for ECG, particularly with respect to power theft and people not willing to pay bills. But once you know your power would go off if you don't buy airtime or whatever it is called, people would always make sure that they pay for such services. That was the bone of contention, by the way. The community was not in favor of it. But now that things have been agreed in principle, I think there's no issues, well, there's no any fundamental hiccup with respect to ensuring that the prepaid meters have provided the people.
And at least we're now seeing some intervention from the national security. Is this belated? Adib, what do you think about the intervention from the national security?
Well, I think it was a good call. It was a good intervention, just that I felt that it became a bit too late. I mean, right from the onset, the national security should have been deeply involved. Unfortunately, I don't know whether it was due to lack of information, but it was unduly delayed until things became heated before the national security intervened. Because this is a purely national security issue. Lives were threatened, property was threatened, and something needed to be done. And ECG, on the other hand, were not doing the right things also. Involving the military was wrong. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. And the justification given by the gentleman who was interviewed before this interview was also very uncalled for. He should know that electricity, even under international law, is a right. Okay, you don't have to group punish because of the actions of some few. That is not to water down the seriousness of the response of some of the community members, but it was up to law enforcement to follow up and ensure that those individuals are apprehended and dealt with according to the law. But for you to punish the whole community made up of thousands of individuals, to bring business activities to a halt, definitely was a national security issue. Unfortunately, it was overly delayed, but it better happens than even if it is too late. So I think that their intervention was in the right direction.
Okay, we'll keep watching the space. Adib Sani, security expert, thank you for your time here on The Pulse. And back.